Hey everyone and welcome back. I hope you enjoyed the last part of our series where we created the hero section with all its cool animations and responsive design. It was so exciting to see how we brought our portfolio website to life with those dynamic effects and transitions. If you haven't checked that out yet, make sure to do so as each part builds on the last to create a fully functional and visually stunning portfolio. If you're enjoying this series so far, don't forget to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and hit the bell icon so you don't miss any upcoming parts or other tutorials. And if you have any thoughts or questions, feel free to leave a comment below. Your support and feedback mean a lot for us. In today's part, we are diving into the next major piece of our portfolio, the About section. This section is all about showcasing who you are as a developer and what you bring to the table. It is a key area where we will present your personal and professional journey, highlight your skills, achievements, and give visitors a sense of what you're passionate about. We will include a concise and compelling biography that introduces you in a way that feels authentic and approachable. We will add some visual elements to keep it interesting, like icons and animations that reflect your personality and style. This is where we will also detail your professional experience, educational background, and any notable projects or achievements you want to highlight. The Download CV button is an essential feature of our About section, providing visitors with a quick and easy way to access your professional resume. This button offers a direct link to your CV, allowing potential employers, clients, or collaborators to learn more about your skills, experience, and accomplishments in a structured format. So by the end of this video, you will have a fully functional and eye-catching About section that draws in your audience and keeps them engaged. So let's get started. Now that we have set the stage, let's dive right into building the About section. To start, we will create a new component. I'm going to call it about.jsx. I'm creating this component in the components folder. Now, once we created the about.jsx file, we have to create a new functional component inside it. I'm going to do that again with RAFCE shortcut. So, as you can see, a new functional component is created. Now we will need to import it into the page.js file and nest it properly, ensuring that it becomes a part of our overall page structure. So let's go ahead and open page.js file. Then I'm going to import about component. Let's change the name of the component. We need about. And then we have to nest it here. Let's change the name. We need about. All right. So before we continue, we also need to add use client at the top of our about.jsx component. I'm going to get rid of this line of code and insert here use client. As you remember from the previous parts, this is important because next.js by default uses server-side rendering, but since this section will have client-side interactions like state changes and dynamic effects, we must specify that it should run on the client side. By adding use client, we guarantee that all JavaScript needed for dynamic behavior executes smoothly in the browser, ensuring our About section functions perfectly for our visitors. Alright, so now we're ready to start to create the content of this component. Right now we just have here a single div element with the text about. The first thing that I'm going to do is to create a heading for the About section. In order to do that, I'm going to create a subcomponent in the subfolder. As you remember, we created subfolder in the components folder. So here I'm going to create new file and it's going to be heading.jsx. Then again, I'm going to create a new functional component. So we need RAFCE. Next, we have to go back to the about.jsx file and import heading from subcomponents. And we have to select here heading. Then inside here, I'm going to nest heading component. Now, if I go to the browser, you'll find here heading. After that, I'm going to add some content here. After heading, I'm going to create div elements. And then inside the div element, I'm going to insert an image component. As you remember from the previous part, it is a part of next.js. I'm going to import image from next image. So the image component is a powerful built-in feature of next.js that helps you optimize images for performance. It automatically provides image optimization, lazy loading, and responsive design by default, making your website faster and more efficient. Next, I'm going to add some attributes to the image component. The first one is going to be src. I'm going to specify here the path of the image. In this case, we need slash and then about me.png. So this attribute defines the source of the image. In our case, we're using about me.png from the public directory. I'm in this image here. Then I'm going to add here alt attribute. Let's insert here image, actually about image. And also we need width and height. The width is going to be 400. As for the height, I'm going to set it to 400 as well. So these attributes define the dimensions of the image in pixels. By specifying the width and height, Next.js can automatically calculate the correct aspect ratio and size of the image, ensuring it displays correctly on different devices. Let's go to the browser. So we have here the image. All right, after that, after image components, I'm going to open development, in which I'm going to create span. Right now, I'm going to insert here arrow left, but then we will replace this text with an actual icon. After span element, we need paragraph. Right now, let's insert here about text. We will replace this text as well. Now, we're going to create a button using a link tag to allow users to download the CV directly. We will use the anchor tag, which is typically used for creating links, but in this case, it will act as a button for downloading our file. So let's create link tag. We will start by adding the href attribute, which will point to the location of the file. So we need here slash, then nick cv.pdf. Here we set href attribute to specify that our file, nick cv.pdf, is located in the public directory. I'm in this file here. After that, I'm going to add here another attribute. It's going to be download, and I'm going to make it equal to an empty string. So this attribute is key because it instructs the browser to download the file instead of opening it in a new tab or navigating away. By setting download to an empty string, we ensure that when the user clicks on the link, it will trigger a download of nickcv.pdf file. This approach is efficient and user-friendly, providing a seamless way for visitors to grab your CV directly from the website with just one click. After that, I'm going to insert here span element with the text download CV, and then we need again span elements. Right now, I'm going to insert here download icon, and then we'll replace this text with an actual icon. If we go to the browser and click here, then we will be able to download the CV. All right. After that, I'm going to take care of the achievements. Right after here, I'm going to open development. And for now, I'm going to insert here the text achievements. Now, I'm going to create a new subcomponent like we did it in case of heading. I'm going to create this component here in subfolder. Let's call it achievements.jsx. Then again, we need to create a new functional component using RAFCE. Then we have to go back to the about.jsx file and we have to import this component. Let's change the name. We need achievements. And then instead of this text here, I'm going to insert achievements. Now if we go to the browser, we'll get here text achievements, which comes from this subcomponent. All right, so now I'm going to add some content to the achievements component. Let's go to this file here. Instead of this text, I'm going to add here span elements. And let's insert here text icon. We will replace it. Then I'm going to add here h1 heading elements, in which we'll have span with some number, let's say 348. And also we need span with the text GitHub repos. So here we have icon and the span elements, number, and GitHub repos. All right, so now it's time to start styling of our elements. I'm going to go back to the about.jsx file and let's find the first div elements. I'm going to add here some classes. The first one is going to be min age screen. It means that we have here minimum height equal to 100 viewport height. It means 100% of the height of the viewport. Next, I'm going to create some padding using px equal to 96. So we have here padding on the left and right sides equal to 384 pixels. Then I'm going to add here flex. Also, we have to change the direction of the flex layout. Let's make it column. Then we need to center the content using items center. And also we need justify center. So as you can see, the layout is changed. Now I'm going to customize the heading. Actually, we have here the text heading, so I'm going to change it and make it about me. Also, we don't need here the div elements. I'm going to change it and make it h1. And then let's add here some classes. The first one is going to be text 3XL. So we set font size to 30 pixels. Also, we need different text size for smaller screen sizes. We need SM breakpoint, and I'm going to make text equal to 2XL. Then let's change the font, make it bold. Also, I'm going to change the color of the text. Let's use text gray 600. Then I'm going to create some space at the bottom using margin bottom equal to 14. In this case, we have margin bottom equal to 56 pixels. Then we need self-start in order to place the heading on the left side. All right, let's check the browser. So as you can see, we have here heading, which is customized and looks pretty nice. Actually, we will use this subcomponent not only for the about section, but also for other sections as well. Therefore, instead of using here this hard-coded text, I mean about me, I'm going to make the content of heading dynamic. So let's go back to the VS Code. Then I'm going to go to the about.jsx file. And here I'm going to add prop text, which will be equal to about me. Then I'm going to go to the heading.jsx file. I'm going to extract prop text. And then instead of this hard-coded text, I'm going to insert here text. Let's check the browser. So as you can see, we have here the same result. So once we create other sections and nest the heading component, we will just change the value of prop text and it will be automatically updated on the page. Otherwise, we would have created heading component for each section individually. All right, let's go back to the VS Code. So let's go to the about.jsx file. After heading, we have div elements, and I'm going to add to this div element some classes. We need width full. It means that width will be equal to 100%. Then we need display flex. And I'm going to place items in the center. As for the justify content, it's going to be between. And also I'm going to add here class name for medium screen sizes. we need empty. And in case of empty breakpoints, we need justify to be censored. All right, so as you can see, the layout is slightly changed. Next, we have image. I'm going to add some styles to the image. Let's add here class name. We need width equal to 300 pixels. Therefore, I'm going to use here an arbitrary value. Then I'm going to define the width for smaller breakpoint. I mean, we need to use LG. And in case of LG breakpoint, the width is going to be equal to 200 pixels. As for the empty breakpoints, I'm going to hide the image at all. Okay, so as you can see, the image is slightly customized. Now we have to update the content of that development. We have here span, paragraph, also button for downloading CV. I'm going to update the content from index.js file. As you remember, this file includes some data which we will be using throughout the project. Now let's take a closer look at the content of our index.js file, specifically the part related to the about section. Here we have defined all the dynamic data that we'll be using in our about component to replace the hard-coded values and make the section more dynamic and easy to maintain. First, we have the import statements at the top. Here we are importing several icons from the Remix icon library. Specifically, we have GitHub fill icon, which represents GitHub repositories. Next, we have projector to line icon to signify successful projects. Then we have group line icon for satisfied clients and award fill icon for awards and recognition. Next, we have the about data array. This array contains objects, each representing a key metric or highlight of my career as a developer. For example, we have items like GitHub repos with an amount of 348, successful projects with an amount of 227, satisfied clients with an amount of 176, and awards and recognition with an amount of 107. Each object also includes an icon, like the GitHub fill icon for GitHub repositories or projector to line icon for successful projects. As I have already mentioned, these icons are imported from the Remix icon library and are used to visually represent each data point in a stylish way. Next, we have individual exports for the icons we will use in the About section. We have the download icon, which represents the download button, and also we have here the arrow left icon. These icons are also imported from Remix icon library, ensuring a consistent and professional look across our project. We also have here about text variable, which contains the main text for the about section. By defining all this data in index.js file, we centralize our content management, making it easier to update or modify the information in one place rather than searching through multiple components. All right, now let's go back to the about.js file. I'm going to import the data from the index.js file. So we need here import about data, then about text. Also, we need download icon and then arrow left icon. We have to import this data from @/assets. All right. After that, I'm going to style the wrapper developments. I mean this development here. Let's add here class name. I'm going to set max width to 800 pixels. Then we need border radius, so I'm going to add here rounded XL. Also, let's change the background. We need here PG think 100. Then I'm going to create some padding using P5. In this case, padding will be equal to 20 pixels. And also, let's set text to justify. So here we have the customized element. Now, after that, we have to take care of the span element. Right now we have here a hard-coded text arrow left. Instead of that, I'm going to nest here icon arrow left. Arrow left icon. If we check the browser, then we will get here the actual icon. Let's go ahead and customize this icon. I'm going to add some classes to the span elements. First of all, I'm going to make the position absolute. And then we need position relative for the parent element. So we need here relative. Then after position absolute, we need left position to be -5. So we need here minus left 5. In this case, we have left position equal to -20 pixels. Also, we need top 20. In this case, we have top position with the value 80 pixels. Then I'm going to increase the scale of the elements. And in this case, the scale will be 2.5. Then we need to change the color of the text. Let's use text think 100. Then I'm going to make this icon hidden on medium screen sizes. So we need empty breakpoint with the value hidden. Okay, so as you can see, the icon is customized and it looks pretty nice. Next, we have a paragraph which should include the text about the developer. Right now, we have here just the text about text. So let's go ahead and get rid of this text from here. And instead of that, I'm going to insert here about text. If we check the browser, then we will get here the text from the data of our project. Now let's go ahead and customize the paragraph. Let's add here class name. So we need text to be LG. Then we need font to be light. Also, I'm going to change the color of the text. It's going to be text gray 700. And also we need here first letter followed by padding left. PL equal to 3. So this class allows us to create an indentation. We add padding to the left side for the first letter of the paragraph. If we check the browser, then you will see here little indentation. Okay, I'm going to add a couple of more class names to the paragraph. Next will be LG text equal to 16 pixels. For smaller screen sizes, we use smaller font size. Now we need here SM breakpoint, and I'm going to make text equal to 14 pixels. All right, so actually that's it about the paragraph. It looks good. Now we have to take care of the button, which is used for downloading CV. I'm going to add to the A elements some classes. Let's add here class name. The first one is going to be width max. So in this case, the width is equal to max content. Then I'm going to use flexbox. We need items to be center. Then we need some gap horizontally. Gap X with the value 2. In this case, we will have column gap equal to 8 pixels. Then I'm going to add here margin at the top side, and it's going to be equal to 6. So in this case, we have margin top 24 pixels. Also, I'm going to make the button rounded. We need rounded full. After that, I'm going to add some border. We need border gray with the value 300. Next, I'm going to change the background. Let's use BG red 400. And also create some space inside the button using padding. I'm going to add here PX3 and PY2. All right, let's check the browser. So as you can see, the button looks nice. I'm going to add some more class names to the A element. So let's take care of the font. The font will be light. Then I'm going to change the color of the text. Let's make it white. and then create some hover effect. On hover, I'm going to change the background. It's going to be red 500. And also for smoother effect, we need transition colors. Let's check the browser. So as you can see, the button looks pretty nice, and we have here this nice and cool hover effect. Okay, so now I'm going to update the content of the second span element. Right now we have here a hard-coded text download icon. We have to change it with an actual icon. So here, instead of this text, I'm going to insert download icon. If we check the browser, we will get here a download icon, and then I'm going to add here class name. Let's change the font size. We need here text XL. So the font size will be equal to 20 pixels. All right, let's move on to the achievements part. As you remember, we created a subcomponent achievements.jsx, which includes a single div element with some other elements. I mean, the span elements. Also, we have here h1 heading element. So I'm going to style those elements and then update the content using the data from index.js file. So right now we have here just one item, but if we check the finished version, you will see that we have here 4 different items, and we will take care of that in a minute. Before that, let's go back to the VS Code. Then we need about.jsx file, and I'm going to customize this wrapper div element. So let's add here class name. We need margin top to be equal to 20. It means that we have here margin top equal to 80 pixels. Then I'm going to set width to full, I mean 100%. Also, I'm going to use flexbox. We need flex, then flex wrap. Next, I'm going to place items in the center using item center. As for the justify content property, it's going to be space between. Therefore, we need here justify between. Next, I'm going to create gap on both sides, I mean horizontally and vertically. We need gap x equal to 7, and then gap y. Actually, we need y equal to 10. All right, so as you can see, the layout is slightly changed. Next, I'm going to go to the achievements.jsx file, and here I'm going to customize those elements. Let's start with the div element. Add here class name. So we need here flex, then items should be placed at end, and we need gap x equal to 3. Next, I'm going to customize the first span element, which right now includes this text here. We'll change this text with an actual icon. So let's add to the span element class name. The first one is going to be text for XL. So in this case, we have text, I mean the font size equal to 36 pixels. Then we need text gray 300. And I'm going to change the font size for relatively smaller screen size. I'm going to add here LG breakpoint. And on that screen size, we need text to be equal to 2XL. All right, so that's it about the icon. Next, I'm going to customize the h1 heading element, which includes 2 span elements. So let's add to the h1 class name. We need here display flex. Then I'm going to change the flex direction. It's going to be column. Also, we need some gap vertically, gap y2. Okay, so as you can see, now the number and GitHub repos are placed on top of each other vertically in a column. Next, I'm going to customize the first span elements. So let's add here a class name. We need text to be equal to 2XL. Then I'm going to define the LG breakpoint, and the text is going to be equal to XL. Then I'm going to change the font. It's going to be light. Also, let's change the color of the text. We need text yellow 500. Let's check the browser. So as you can see, the number looks pretty nice. Next, we have to customize the second span element. So I'm going to add here some classes. We need text SM. Then I'm going to use some letter spacing using tracking white. And also change the color of the text. We need text gray equal to 500. Okay, so as you can see, all the elements look pretty nice. Now we're going to make the achievement section functional by dynamically generating each achievement from our data. To do this, we will utilize the about data array that we defined earlier in our index.js file. I mean, this array here. This array contains all the data we need for our achievement section, including the titles, amounts, and icons. Instead of hard-coding these values directly in our achievements component, we're going to loop through this about data array and pass each item as props to the achievements component. So let's go to the about.jsx file, and right after here, I'm going to open curly braces. Then we need about data followed by the map function. Then we need here a callback function with two parameters. The first one is going to be item, and then we need I, which is index number. So, as you know, the map function is a built-in JavaScript method that allows us to iterate over an array and perform a function on each element. Here we use map to iterate over each item in our about data array. For each item, we will render an achievements component. Inside the map function, we will add an achievements component and pass it some props like key, title, and amount. So I'm going to grab this component from here and add it here. I'm going to get rid of this slash from here, and I'm going to add here closing achievement tag. Then, as I said, we have to add here some props. The first one is going to be key, which should be equal to I. Then we will have here title, and it should be equal to item dot title. Then we need amount, which will be equal to title dot amount. And finally, as the content of this component, I'm going to add here item dot icon. So as you can see, we got here an error because we need here item, not title. Now everything's correct. So here the key prop is required by React to uniquely identify each component in a list. It helps React keep track of which items have changed, been added, or been removed, which optimizes rendering and performance. The title, amount, and icon props will be directly pulled from each item in the about data array. So if we check the browser, then you will find that we have here 4 items. Right now we have here the same numbers and also the same titles, but we'll fix that soon. So by using this code, we are achieving 2 things. First, we are keeping our code clean and dry, which stands for don't repeat yourself. Instead of writing out each achievements component manually, we are using map to handle it dynamically for us. This not only makes our code shorter, but also much easier to maintain. If we ever want to add or remove an achievement, we just need to modify the about data array, and the changes will automatically reflect in our UI. Second, this approach allows us to separate concerns and makes our components reusable. The achievements component is now highly reusable because it takes props and can render any achievement item to pass to it. Now we have to modify our achievements component to make it work with the dynamic data we're passing from the about.jsx file. So currently our achievements component is hard-coded with static content, so we need to adjust it to receive props and display dynamic values. The first thing that we will do is change the function signature of the achievements component. Right now this component does not accept any props, so we need to modify it so that it accepts 3 props. We need here title, amount, and children. So these props are passed from the about.jsx file when we use the map function to dynamically create each achievements component. By destructuring title, amount, and children directly in the function signature, we make it clear that these are the expected inputs for this component. This makes our code more readable and easier to maintain because we can see right at the top what data this component depends on. Next, we have to modify the JSX inside the achievements component and use these props. So let's start with the children prop. We need here children instead of icon. The children prop is a special prop in React that represents the content passed between the opening and closing tags of a component. In our case, we're using the children prop to pass the icon for each achievement. So you may wonder, why are we using the children prop instead of just passing an icon prop? The reason is that using children provides more flexibility. Since the children prop can accept any type of React node like text, elements, components, and so on, it allows us to keep the achievements component more generic and reusable. We are not restricting the content to just an icon. Theoretically, it could be anything, an image, a complex JS structure, or even another component. This makes the achievements component more versatile and capable of handling a variety of content without needing to change its internal structure. Now let's move on to the title and amount props. These are straightforward. Instead of this number here, we need amount. And then instead of this text here, I'm going to insert title. Okay, let's go to the browser. So now, as you can see, we have here different numbers and also different titles. All right, so now it's time to bring some life into our achievements by using Framer Motion to add smooth animations. As you remember, Framer Motion is a powerful animation library for React that allows us to create fluid and interactive animations with ease. In this step, we will add animations to the numbers in our achievements, making them count up dynamically when they appear in a view. First, we will import the necessary tools from Framer Motion. We need the motion component and the useMotion value hook. So let's start by adding them at the top of our achievements component. I'm going to get rid of this line of code. So we need here import motion and also use motion value from Framer Motion. By importing motion, we are extending the capabilities of our JSX elements to support animations. The motion component allows us to animate any element we want. As for the use motion value, it is a hook provided by Framer Motion that creates a special kind of variable optimized for animations. Next, we have to create a new variable called number using use motion value. So I'm going to create here variable. Let's call it number. And I'm going to use here use motion value with the value 0. So this line of code initializes number to 0. Use motion value provides a reactive value that is specifically designed for animations. Unlike a regular state variable, it doesn't trigger re-renders every time it changes. Instead, it is optimized to update smoothly and efficiently, which is perfect for animating values like numbers. Now we have to create the count function that will handle the counting animation. So I'm going to create new function with the name count. I'm going to insert here a parameter amount. So the count function takes an amount parameter which represents the final number we want to count up to. Then inside the function, I'm going to create variable I, which will be equal to 0. So here we declare a variable and initialize it to 0. This variable will be incremented as we count up. Next, we have to define another function, update count, which will be responsible for actually performing the count. So we need here new function, and it's going to be update count. Next, I'm going to create here variable timeout. I'm going to declare it without any value. So within update count function, we have a timeout variable that will be used to store a reference to the timeout function, allowing us to clear it later. The core of the counting logic will be within an if statement. So I'm going to create an if statement in which we have to check if I is less than or equal to amounts. If it is true, we have to update the number variable and increment it by 1. So we need here number followed by the set method. And inside here, I'm going to insert I++. So we use here the number.set method to update the number variable with the current value of I and then increment it by 1. The number.set method is a function provided by useMotionValue, which allows us to set the animated value smoothly without causing re-renders. Now, to create a loop, we have to use setTimeout function. We need here timeout equal to setTimeout function. Instead of this callback function, I'm going to insert here update count. And then instead of timeout, we need 0. So this line schedules the next call of update count to execute immediately with a 0 millisecond delay. This effectively creates a loop that continues to update number until I exceeds the amount. Next, we need to create an else statement where we have to define the case when the I variable exceeds the amount. So here we need else statement in which we have to clear timeout. And I'm going to insert here the variable timeout. Actually, let's make timeout camel case. All right, so once I is greater than amount, the else block executes, calling clear timeout function. This stops the loop, ensuring the counting animation ends once it reaches the desired value. Finally, we have to call the update count function, and we have to do that here. Okay, so let's quickly recap the count function we've just implemented. The count function is designed to animate our number value smoothly from 0 up to the target amount. It begins by initializing I to 0, and the setTimeout function is used to call update count repeatedly with a delay of 0 milliseconds between each call. Inside update count, the value of I is incremented and then set to the number using number.set function, making the displayed value increase dynamically. If I is still less than or equal to the target amount, setTimeout triggers another call to update count. Once I exceeds the target, the clear timeout function is used to stop any further calls, effectively ending the animation. This combination of setTimeout and clear timeout allows us to control the counting animation precisely, making it both smooth and responsive as the element comes into view. Now let's update the JSX, where we display the number by replacing the static span with a motion span. So here, instead of span element, we need motion span. By converting our span into a motion span, we are telling Framer Motion that this element will have animations associated with it. Now here I'm going to add attribute called while in view. It should be equal to a callback function where we have to call count function with the argument amount. So while in view is the key property here. This property takes a function that triggers when the element comes into view. In our case, we're using it to call the count function with the amount parameter, which starts the counting animation whenever the span enters the viewport. Okay, we also need here viewport. I'm going to pass here an object with once property, and it should be equal to true. This setting ensures that the animation only runs once, the first time the element enters the viewport. This prevents the counting animation from repeating each time the user scrolls past the element, which can be both distracting and unnecessary. By setting it to once true, we make sure the animation is triggered only once, enhancing the user experience. Finally, we have to insert here number instead of amount. It dynamically displays the current value of number, which is smoothly updated by our count function. This way, as the number increases, the displayed value updates in real time, creating a visually appealing counting effect. Now let's go to the browser. So as you can see, we have the counting animation. If we reload the page and then scroll down, once the numbers come into view, they will start counting. All right, so actually that's it about the About section. Everything looks pretty nice, and also we have here this nice and cool animation. To summarize, what we've done here is use framer motion to animate the numbers in our achievements dynamically by utilizing use motion value to handle the animated values and the motion span component to display them. We've created a smooth counting animation that enhances the interactivity and visual appeal of our About section. So we have finished working on the About section of our portfolio website, bringing it to life with dynamic content and interactive elements. We added animations to make the achievements more engaging and created a compelling introduction that showcases our skills and experience. If you enjoyed this video and found it helpful, please consider giving it a like, subscribing to the channel, and hitting the bell icon so you never miss our upcoming tutorials. Your feedback is incredibly valuable, so feel free to leave a comment below with any questions or thoughts. In the next part of our series, we will move on to creating the experience section, so stay tuned and make sure you're following along for the upcoming parts. Thanks for watching, and I look forward to seeing you in the next video.